Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. On my channel I discuss on faith, lifestyle, and development. So if you're interested in any of those things, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So this is the other part of the series on mental health conversations with my friend Elizabeth. So we're just talking. So if you have not seen the first part, you should probably see this one. But we're just having conversations and talking about mental health, emotional and social well-being, what that means for women our age. You know, we're Black, we're young, you know, in our 20s and our 30s, and what that looks like, you know. So we're just having a conversation. So if you're interested, definitely keep watching. So Daya is here. I call her Daya. If you watch the first one, you know what I'm talking about. So Daya is here, and we kind of left off on the first video talking about women and mental health, right? And, you know, a lot is to be said about that. You know, we're talking about how, you know, women our age, what are we dealing with? What are we struggling with? What are the things we don't talk about? What are the pressures? What are the things that's affecting our emotional well-being, our social well-being, and things like that? So that's where we left off from the first video. So we talked about, you know, comparison, you know, low self-esteem, body image issues, you know, marriage pressures, expectations, and things like that. And guys, again, if you have not seen the first video, go see the first video, because Daya here, she's a genius. She has a master's degree from, you know, Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia. You know, she has a master's in marriage and family therapy with a concentration in sex therapy. So, you know, she has a lot of therapy background. So I just figured, you know, it's great to have her on this video to talk. We're just talking, guys. You know, so we're not claiming to be any experts, but we're just talking, having a conversation. So, so we talked about a lot of things, Daya, from the previous one. And, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned some of these things that we're truly dealing with and how to heal from those things, what we need to be doing to be healing and, you know, to be growing, to be taking conscious steps, you know, seeing a therapist, talking to someone, voicing your opinion, speaking up, you know, making sure that you don't fall under pressures and things like that. So what are your thoughts on, so I think you also mentioned on taking it to Jesus, you know, praying about it, you know, seeking professional help, and just trying to move past all of this baggage that women our age deal with that's affecting our emotional well, because we want to be well, we want to be whole, right? We don't want to have to deal with unnecessary environmental stress and expectations. So what are your final thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I just want to reiterate that it's okay if the process takes a while. You know, I was saying earlier that if someone has surgery today, they don't automatically get better today, right? Even like the most minute surgery, like you don't get better right away. So like I want us to be okay, or like learn to be okay with things taking a while. And, you know, I also talked about like unlearning a lot of things, and, you know, like look into your child. As a therapist, one of the things that I love doing with my clients is really tell me about your mom and your dad. Tell me about your grandma. Tell me about your family dynamic. And like, it's so true. Like we are shaped by our earliest experiences. So it's like, there's a lot of things that we need to learn. And like it's going to be painful in the sense that it's going to be hard, right? Then it's like, oh my gosh, did my mom not raise me right? Did my dad not raise me right? Like what's going on? So and then like wrapped in all of that, right, is Jesus, right? Yeah. My Christian sisters, right? Jesus is awesome. Jesus is so great. Jesus is amazing. And I think that in our healing, in our growing, in our unlearning, we can't take Jesus out of the equation. It may seem like as if it's like, no, it's either or. It is not either or. Tim Keller says it, and I love me some Tim Keller. Both and we live in a both and world, and I can talk more about that later, like Jesus and therapy and things like that. But yeah, so those are the main things that I just want to reiterate. And at the end of the day, you're not alone. What you think you're probably the only one going through it, I promise you're not the only one going through it.
Yes.
And I think because of that should, you know, use that as a strength to keep moving forward, to keep moving forward, to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's all I can think of for right now.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Yeah, there's a lot to digest. There's a lot to think about. There's a lot of things to, try to practicalize and, steps to take. But again, it's a conversation, and it's always good to start the conversation, and we can start, we can be thinking, as we go along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's that on women and mental health. Now we want to transition into Africans and mental health. Africans and mental health. Alrighty. Sorry, I feel like
That deep sigh.
because I'm just like, okay, now let's have this conversation. All right. So, what are your thoughts? Okay, because I love Africans. I love my Africans. I'm Nigerian. I'm African. I love every of I like all of those things. You know what I mean, and everything that comes with that. But sometimes, sometimes it's hard to portray certain things in the African community and how it's perceived. So, without saying too much, what are your thoughts on Africans and mental health?
Boy, or girl. I don't know. Africans and mental health. Okay, so what I'm about to say, I just want to give this caveat, right? These are my thoughts, right? I'm just a random human being who happens to be on this platform with Auntie Remy, okay? So I think Africans need to change when it comes to mental health.
Yeah.
So like this is how I think about it, right? I think like I always say the Jim African. So like your grandfather, your great grandfather, like those people, or like I should say grandmother or great grandmother, those who were raised in like Africa, Nigeria, Cameroon, Togo, Ghana, like all those places, Northern Africa, right? So those people, right? Those like group of people, I think it may be a little bit harder for them to grasp the concept of your mental health is important, right? Compared to people in the African diaspora in other countries outside of Africa. So we're thinking France or Germany or the United States or England, or Australia. I'm sure Africans are everywhere all around the globe, but those are the places coming to my mind, right? I think like those people, right, that generation or those group of people, it's easier for them to think about mental health and embrace it. And I think the difference is that people in Africa and people of African descent in other countries outside of the African countries, they're just bred differently, right? It's like no one has time. Like, okay, so someone hurt you and they stepped on your toe. Who cares? Move on, right? Move on. Like, there are more important things to think about. Like, what am I gonna eat for dinner? How am I gonna provide for my family? Colonization. Oh my gosh, like how has it affected the shape of my country, right? So these are things that like they were just raised differently, right? And I think like so older Africans and then younger Africans, they're coming at a clash where they're not seeing eye to eye on the importance of mental health, right? And I feel like for older Africans, it's just like, okay, let's think about life, right? What's next? What's next? Who cares if somebody hurt you? And like the unfortunate part is that they don't necessarily realize that some of the things that they're doing are trauma responses. And then it's like if you haven't healed from your trauma, then you're gonna pass it on to your child, who's gonna pass it on to their child, who's gonna pass it on to that's how generational curses, generational like patterns are born, right? So so like it's very strange. And then now the younger generation, or at least people in the African diaspora in other countries, right? They're just like, well, no, you hurt me. What you said hurt me. And that's important, right? And they're like, who cares? Move on. So I think that clash is really affecting the way Africans as a group of people are dealing with mental health. And I think that it's like the younger generation need to learn, like they need to gain from the wisdom of the older generation, right? And then the older generation, they really need to also give the younger generation the benefit of the doubt that, okay, maybe these people they actually know what they're talking about. So it's like on the one hand, the older generation wants to be like, okay, this is life. We gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go.
Yeah.
People are like, no, you did hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
That uncle who said that thing to me, or that uncle who like looked at me the wrong way, and things like that. It affects me till this day. Right. And it's like, it's not normal that a father is not a father to his kids. It's not normal that a father is beating on his wife. It's not normal that a woman is like, you know, it's a single woman. It's not normal for a woman to expect that her husband will cheat on her. Those are not normal things. They're not just life, right? These are things that we need to deal with. So I think if they can sit down and have that conversation, and they may not necessarily ever see eye to eye. And I think that this, like when we are older, the younger generation coming up, they'll definitely have a completely different view about mental health than we do. Right. So I feel like there'll always be like a generational divide. But it's something that I feel like, you know, that gap can be closed a little bit if we all just learn to like listen and like actually prioritize what goes on up here. Like even the Bible says it, right? Do not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. If your mind is not renewed, you're not going to be transformed. And if you're not transformed, can you ever really grow?
Legitimate question. And oh my God. So I fully agree with what you're saying. There's this huge gap, right? You know, people believe there's bigger issues. You know, you got to feed your family, you got to eat. I get that. But also we're dealing with emotional and social, you know, mental issues, right? And it's like, okay, we can't just neglect it. We can't just brush it off and say, you're not tough enough, you know, toughen up. No, let's talk about it. I'm hurt by this. What you said hurt me. You know what I mean? But no, we're so focused on being tough. We're focused on, and we're so quick, I feel like the African community, we're so quick to brush it under culture. Everything is under culture, right? If you're 2 years into your marriage and you don't have children, right? And people start pressuring you and you try to explain to yourself that, well, please don't pressure me because you don't know why I'm not able to have a baby yet. You don't know what we're dealing with. You don't know if it's medical. And even if it's not medical, you don't know if it's just our choice, right? Now, if you say that, they brush it off under, well, it's part of the culture. It's part of the culture. Well, how about we just stop that? You know what I mean? Like, how about we just try to consider people, right? Consider when you're talking to somebody, you don't know what's triggering. You don't know if they want to have a kid, but they're just not having kids, right? It's ridiculous. I even said 2 years. 1 year into somebody's marriage, they're already pressuring for
pregnant. What's wrong with you?
I'm confused. Right. And it's like, okay, I get it that a lot of things are cultural, but not everything that's cultural is right.
And like the thing is, I feel like people also like, just because it's cultural doesn't mean it's okay.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Like that's another thing. Like culture can be changed. Before it became cultural, like it started from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
The culture.
Yeah.
We can change the culture. We can change the tradition. And just because someone is resistant doesn't mean they hate their country or they hate their culture or they hate where they're coming from. It just means that, well, maybe they're just seeing things in a different light, right? And obviously, like human nature, no one wants to be told no. Nobody wants to be told that they're wrong.
Yes.
Don't tell me I'm wrong. I'm always right. I'm the queen. The queen is always right. But then it's kind of like, okay, maybe the queen should shut up and listen, right? Maybe the queen can listen and like learn something. So it's like, just because it's culture doesn't mean that I can't resist, doesn't mean I can't say no, and doesn't. And it's like, okay, if the culture is not in alignment with the Bible, then definitely resist it.
Yes, I fully agree. I feel like I had this conversation recently too, saying we're Christians, right? Our culture is our culture, and our culture will seep into how we serve God, but we need to catch ourselves. The moment our culture trumps the characteristics of God in our life, we have a problem. You know what I mean? A lot of things are shoved under culture, and it just makes me literally like lose my mind. Like, just because, another situation when an older person says something hurtful to a younger person, just because they feel like they're older and they can get away with it. No, it hurt me. I have a right to speak up. I don't want you to mess with me emotionally. You know what I mean? If you're saying things to me every day, like, or if you're saying things to a kid every day, like, oh, what kind of child are you? You're not smart. You're not this. How do you think that child is going to turn out? You know what I mean? So it's like,
and then you get angry when the child is coming in with D's and F's or C's, and like It doesn't. So it's just kind of like whatever it is that we need to do things wisely, right? You know, I tell my clients all the time, and like even me, the things that I'm telling my clients, I'm trying to practice it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I can't keep looking at, if I have body image issues, for example, I can't keep looking at pictures of people with like digitized bodies. It's not going to help me, because then I'll be trying to strive to a perfection that never existed. You know what I mean? So it's like, why can't I just like, you know, be around people who have normal bodies, right? I have a gut. That's just me. I need to work on it. I want to, but then I can't keep looking at pictures of people with like zero stomachs. I can't. It's not doing anything for me. So it's like, you know, this older generation, they need to really watch what they say, what they do, how they are around people if they want a different result. And like, we can't keep doing the same thing over and over, right? And expect something different, right? So and I feel like, you know, as Nigerians specifically, like sometimes we think that we can't say no to adults or we can't disagree with them. We totally can, right? We have to respect them, right? I'm not calling for anyone to be disrespectful to anybody.
Correct.
We can totally call them out and be like, auntie, uncle, please. I'm not two. You can't talk to me anyhow. Like that's, you know what I mean? You can't do that. Respect is reciprocal. Right? I'm in my mid-20s, late 20s. I'm almost 30, y'all. Like, don't be talking to me like I'm two. I will fight you with my
it's just pretty much standing up for yourself. You know what I mean? And speaking up for yourself, because again, nothing. And I have a video on this. I think I did this video about a couple weeks ago when I talked about respect is reciprocal. I don't care how old you are in the African community or whatever. I don't care how old you are. You talk to me with respect. If you want respect from me, you talk to me with respect. You know, and I was, you know, saying the other day how like with everything that's going on in the world, right? Some people are so stuck on, and I have a whole video on this. I don't think I posted it yet, but some people are so stuck on, Emilagba. You will call me. I'm sorry, this phone is a two-way street. Like, you will call me too. Like, you don't even know how I'm doing. I might be struggling. You don't know that, but you just feel like, oh, because you're older than me or whatever it is that you've told yourself, you know, I'm the one who should call you all the time. I'm the one who should check up on you and all that. No, let's be better. Humble yourself. Like, humility is so key. And just relate to people like normal human beings. I don't care if you're older, if you have more money, your status is bigger. We're all children of God at the end of the day. We're all the same. We're spirit in the eyes of God. So how we relate to each other, how we talk to each other, how we act towards one another in the African community, let's stop brushing everything. Let's just stop giving everything a pass on the culture.
And I think, like, additionally, like, you know, obviously, like, a lot of these conversations, they're so nuanced, right? What we're talking about, it's not just like, oh, this is the answer to the solution. There are many aspects that we don't even have time to talk about. And I think that, you know, apart from the generational gap, we should also think about, like, just like geography, right? African communities, or people in Africa, right? They're more collectivistic. I don't know if that's a word, but like they're more like, okay, family, community, you have to do all of that for family, right? In the US, for example, we're more individualistic as a society.
Correct.
Right? And like there are pros and cons to both, obviously, right? And I think, like, you know, everybody wants to, it's like, no, my way's right, like I'm all about me, whatever I'm gonna do. And it's like, no, it's all about family. It's about culture. It's all about like image and things like that. So like there is also that divide. There is also that gap. But again, I think that if the two camps, right, older and younger, can sit together and try to understand each other, they may not necessarily agree, but they can respect it, right? Then I think that, you know, this issue of mental health, like we're only talking about mental health. We're not even talking about like a wide array of other issues that are going on in the African communities, right? So if we can like just kind of like sit down and think about it, it's just kind of like mental health is both individual and collective. Because then if I'm not well, like, imagine if I'm not well, how can I be sitting here with you and talking to you? I can't. And then if you're not well, like, what are you going to be communicating to your audience, right? So it's just like, it's both and, right? It doesn't have to be either or, right? And I think, like, if both camps can really see right, each
Yeah.
other's perspective and see where they can learn from each other, I think that this issue of mental health will be taken more seriously in the African communities, not just in the African diaspora, like, you know, of people in like the UK or like the US or Canada or whatever, but like even countries in Africa, right? And I think like, you know, their perspectives are changing a little bit, which
Yeah.
is great, which is good. It's like one step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But like we need more of that. We need people in Africa to be healthy up here so
Yes.
that patterns don't repeat generationally.
Yes, I fully agree because, again, like we were talking about earlier on, right? If we keep brushing everything under the carpet, we're not addressing things. We're just trying to eat, and I can respect that. But at the same time, you have to take care of your mental health, right? But if we're just trying to eat, trying to provide for our family, we don't deal with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't disappear. Like if you don't take care of it, if you don't address it, it does not disappear. So just paying attention to our mental health and believing that it exists. I know there are some Africans that still think depression is, just believe it exists. Mental health is a thing.
Mm,
Mental illness is a thing.
yeah.
And, learn, be open-minded. A lot of times we don't grow because we're not trying to learn, right? But as Africans, it'd be best to just, first of all, humble ourselves, listen, learn, educate ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and respect that people might be going through this and that it's a real thing. It's not a first world problem. I know people like to paint mental health issues or whatever it is as a first world problem.
It's a human problem.
Oh my God, it's a human. You took the words literally out of my mouth. It's a human problem, not a first world problem. So the sooner we can appreciate that, the better.
And I think just one more thing on this. I think that again, like people don't realize how trauma is passed on from one generation to the next, right? You know, with this whole like racism thing going on in our country right now, I'm just kind of like, guys, the Black community hasn't healed since the time of
Oh,
slavery. We haven't healed. A lot of things that's going on is a lot of trauma response
yes.
passed down from one generation to the next. So I think the same is happening in African communities. Like, you know, colonization is trauma. It really is trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we haven't healed from it. Just
Oh,
because you gained your independence however many years ago, 50 years, like the Black people in this country are still trying to struggle for what, over like centuries,
mm-hmm.
centuries,
Yes.
right? So I think that, you know, just because you're not talking about it or you're not educating yourself about it or you're not aware of it doesn't mean that you're not being affected by it,
Yes.
right? You know, it's not normal. Again, I'm saying that it's not normal for a man to be beating on his wife. It's not normal. We
No.
shouldn't expect that as a thing. You shouldn't be getting married and just be like, oh, well, if my husband slaps me, it's okay. No, it's
Mm-hmm.
not. It's
Mm-hmm.
not okay. And imagine, like, okay, maybe that person saw his dad beating on his mom, and then maybe his dad saw his dad beating on his mom. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, okay, well, what are we doing? Do
Yeah.
we want a generation of people just beating on their wives? No, we don't. We want to always. So it's like, just because you're not talking about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Just because you're not acknowledging it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Like, you know, like all those generational curses that people
Yeah.
talk about, just oh, it's a generational curse. Go back through the generations and you will see the pattern.
Mm.
You will see the pattern.
Yeah.
Consciously,
Yeah, it's
you
not.
will
It's
see
good.
the pattern. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let's start addressing it so that, because like, I'm pretty sure whatever flaws you've noticed in your family, you don't want that for yourself. You don't
No,
want that for your children.
no, no. Yeah, yeah.
And
And
like for a group of people, especially the older Africans, they say, oh, I just want better for my children. I just want better for my children. If you want better for your children, if you want better for your grandchildren, then you need to acknowledge that, okay, something's not right here.
yeah,
Right. And be willing to actually take that painful step of like, okay, maybe I should change. Right.
yeah.
Like, and it would be amazing. Like the results would be amazing.
No, I fully agree because as Africans, you hear certain things, and this is why the whole women and mental health thing is such a big topic that, it's such a big topic, bigger than what we've discussed. But, you hear certain things like, you're a woman, you should do this. You're a woman, you should accept that, you should continue to take this. I'm sorry, what? It's not good for my mental health. I don't care what society says. Screw society. Like, I don't care what they say. Like, if it's not, good for my mental health, but you're telling me, culturally, because I'm a woman and I'm Nigerian, Kim Farah more, I should stick to it. For those that are not Yoruba speaking, I should, stick to it and just endure it because I'm a woman. To prove what exactly? I don't know. So it's just, trying to, like you said correctly earlier on, unlearn certain things. It's all right. It's okay. I saw something on Instagram the other day that said, woman, If you must get a cook, get a cook. If you must get a cleaner to clean your home for you, get a cleaner. A driver, get a driver. Like, enough of trying to make women the value or up to par of what they can endure or suffer. I don't know when suffering became some sort of badge of honor. I don't get it. You know, it's just, you know, it's not healthy. It's not healthy. You know, if something is weighing down on you, get help, fix it, talk to people, speak up. No, like, enough of just trying to brush everything under culture and not really appreciating the magnitude of mental health and how that's important. You know what I mean? So I'm really glad that we're able to talk about that. So I think for this one, we will end here, and then we'll pick up on the next video for a wrap up, I think, and I hope. so it doesn't go too long. But thank you so much, Daya. Thank you. But yeah, you're still here, you know, for us to do the next one. But thanks everyone for watching. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also comment in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts and what you're thinking and things like that. And I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys. Yo, Daya, we're doing this. We're making magic. This is great. So I'm gonna start recording.
Oh, so is this still recording?
No, it's okay.
Okay.